AITA for not being in an HOA. I inherited a house a few years ago after the passing of my grandfather. The timing was perfect as I had just graduated and it wasn't that far from the area where I wanted to work. About 2 to 3 years ago, a development company bought a bunch of surrounding property to build a semi-gated community. The fence for the community ends a good few yards away from my property but isn't closed all the way. Now that people have moved in, I've been getting wall letters about fees, my lawn, and my house paint. I tried emailing the HOA president but they never got back to me. I crashed the last meeting they had and explained that my house wasn't part of the neighborhood and therefore not part of the HOA. The president and board members tried to say that I was because of how close my property is. It isn't. And I have documentation from the development company and the county saying it isn't. After the meeting, the president emailed back and said that regardless of the particulars, I should still try to conform to the rest of the community because I was bringing property values down. I know that I was very lucky in getting my home and I don't want to negatively affect others, especially considering the current market. AITA for not listening to the HOA? NTA. You're not a part of them. And HOAs are ridiculous. Enjoy your house and continue to break their rules. They have no authority over you. NTA. Always refuse to engage. That way they can never claim that you agreed to be a part of it. Those fees are ridiculous. NTA. Keeping your property nice isn't the same thing as conforming to HOA standards. If you want to be a good neighbor to add value, you likely already do most of these things. Mow your lawn regularly and make sure your landscaping is cleaned up a few times a year. Clean up the front lawn area if there is anything your granddad left there. And paint the house once a decade. You don't have to follow their rules on how often to mow, what color paint, etc. I'd send them a letter that you do not belong to the HOA. And further letters of violations will be considered harassment. Don't join them voluntarily. They sound like idiots and assholes. NTA. Even if your house is in complete disarray, you don't have to do jack. What kind of dumb logic is, hey, your property is next to the HOA property so therefore it's in the HOA. What if I said, hey, your car is parked close to mine so therefore your car is my car? I'd suggest keeping all of the letters they are sending as proof of harassment from an entity you don't belong to. NTA. And absolutely don't join this HOA. Their officers are absolutely toxic and you've already witnessed their harassment and attacks, which they probably will continue if you keep acting like a pushover. And if you join, it will get worse. Go to a lawyer and get them to send a cease and desist letter that legally tells them to go F themselves. Document everything. Record every interaction. Save every voicemail, every email. Look into filing harassment charges against the HOA and its officers. NTA. This happened to a friend of mine. Her family bought a home that butted up to a large field. The field got sold to a developer who put 6 new homes on it. They started getting tons of complaints because they drove older cars. The HOA specified that all cars had to be no more than 5 years old. Lol. They were rebuilding their porch and garage, so the construction was unsightly. And on and on. They were constantly bombarded with letters, and even had the police called on them. The husband got pissed and put Halloween and Christmas decorations up in the middle of summer and would park his old beat-up truck front and center. NTA. They don't get to come in and suddenly demand you play by new rules that you never agreed to in the first place. You should buy the tackiest, wackiest lawn decorations you can to deck out your lawn with. When they come to complain, Double down and add more. I'm talking flocks of pink flamingos. Holiday lights that would make Clark Griswold jealous. The whole works. That's your property and they have no right to dictate what you do with it. NTA. You aren't bound by their rules. HOAs are awful. Don't set the precedent that you will accept their rules. They will only do it to harass you into more and more following the rules. More importantly, your property is not dragging their values down. Your property was there before theirs was built. They all bought houses with yours right there. They are delusional that your house affects their home value at all. NTA. I would encourage you to seek out a lawyer for advice. HOAs can do some crazy things and you want to get ahead to nip this in the bud. NTA. Of course. Live your life. Do you by chance like neon paint? Like celebrating holidays in a big way? NTA. WA. Like those are selfish pricks. Offer them the opportunity to pay you to keep their house values up. $1 million a year should do it. NTA. And enjoy your freedom. Laugh at your neighbors who pay fines for painting their house the wrong shade of beige. And delight in keeping the grass in your lawn a full quarter-inch above their community standards. And every time they hassle you, do something else that violates their standards. I appreciate that you don't want to be an asshole to your neighbors. But the WA is harassing you. And has already gotten your relationship with them off to a bad start with their behavior and lies. If your neighbors seem concerned about something, tell them to tell their WA to grow up. And then you'll be happy to have reasonable, adult discussions with them. The neighbors, not the WA. First off, fuck HOAs. Second, NTA. NTA. Op. The best part of HOAs is not being in one. Re the WA president. He's not your WA president. Ignore him. NTA. I would think that your house is obviously older and of a different style than a new neighborhood. Anyone looking to buy in that WA would have to be blind to think that your house is part of that WA. But make sure you're at least keeping your house to the standards of your local town code. Enforcement. Beyond HOAs. Most towns do have minimum acceptable standards for lawn and house maintenance and they can actually fine you legally if someone reports you. Not just the bullshit WA fines. NTA. And don't adhere to their charging and harassing you over WA crap you don't need to pay them. Fees are listen to the rules they have in place. You should keep the property nice for you, whatever it is you want it to look like. NTA. Smart of you. Stand firm. HOAs sometimes try to coerce nearby homeowners who aren't contractually obliged. But that's for their benefit and not yours. As long as your house and upkeep abide by municipal code, those guys can kick rocks. Since you've responded reasonably and that board is being obnoxious blockheads, you might consider hiring a lawyer to send them a cease and desist letter. NTA. In fact, let your lawn grow long. Paint your house that gaudiest of colors. Have your mailbox as close to the curb as possible. Make those WA reps crazy with how you're running your house. Tell the WA to F off. And if they don't, use a lawyer to tell them that if they mess with you, they will be paying 2 lawyers to explain why they cannot mess with you. You have no obligation to the WA and their home values, or anything else. If you want to bring your property up to their standards, that's up to you, but only for reasons that please you. NTA. When we bought our house, I read every line of the WA agreement and rules we had to sign. It very clearly laid out the boundaries of the neighborhood. I'm sure they have that. They're just trying to rope you in and get funds from you. I do recommend speaking with a lawyer. It might just take a simple cease and desist letter to get them to leave you alone. You are not responsible for their neighborhood and they don't get to harass you about your property.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.